We have recently got confirmation from the University of Idaho that they will be demolishing the 1122 King Road house, or Queen Road, whatever you want to call it, December 28th of this year, while the students are on winter break, to not hopefully disrupt their lives too much if they live in the area. Apparently it'll take like several days to completely clear the site, and they're going to leave it as a green space for a while because they have no plans of what to do with that space. But, so December 14th and 15th, which 15th is today, the defense gets access to the home, just like the FBI did last month, right? It was last month. To take photographs, measurements, and maybe some drone footage. So, I mean, that's good that they're going back in there before it gets demolished to collect that information, especially considering that, you know, the FBI was back in there. That's good and everything. We all know that the family, especially the Gonzalez family and their Coronado family, really didn't want this house demolished. And I think for pretty good reason. But I wanted to dig into that a little bit. First, I'll read a statement from President Scott Green talking about why they are demolishing the home, which was given to them after, you know, the Idaho 4 slayings, because there was asbestos found in the house. What happened there? Like, I'm assuming the owners were just like, there's nothing we can really do with this house now. Here you go. You know, do what you need to do with it. And it's pretty close to the campus, too. Like, campus lines, I think, literally is, like, right there. Like, right there. It basically, like, ends at the house.
Yeah.
So, President Scott Green said, "It is a grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to this house, the emotional connection they have to this house, it is time for its removal to allow the collective healing of our community. The decision to tear down the home during the winter break was to decrease impact of students that live in the area. It says that Germer Construction of Moscow will serve as a general contractor and provide project oversight while also performing site rehabilitation, grading, utility disconnection, and demolition assistance at a reduced cost to the university."
All right.
Yeah, there is some media instructions for attending the demolition, which I thought was interesting.
Like, what?
Like, that they're going to block off the road, that there's parking. It tells you where to park. No overnight parking, though. You're not allowed to camp out, I guess.
Okay.
Drones can't be launched from university property. Yeah. Okay. That's it from the university. But, and they talk about them granting them access and stuff, the defense. But the statements from the Gonzalez family, because that's all I got here. I got one from, assuming Chrissy, because she's the one that runs the Facebook page, the Gonzalez family Facebook page, was really just that she's been having some really hard days lately, and this is another one because they just found out about the home. And that she gets it, it's an eyesore and everything, and that it's more of an emotional thing for her, is that, yes, Kaylee, she died here, but she also lived, like, a really happy life here, too, and it's just a sad day for her knowing it's going to be gone. A piece of her almost is gone, and I understand that a lot.
Yeah.
I get that, but in the same respect, that's not a reason to keep the house up. Now, where the reason comes in, and I have a statement here from the Gonzalez family lawyer, Shannon Gray, is this. I'm not going to read all of it because it's pretty long, but a couple sentences from it. And it says, let us ask this. Isn't it better to have the King Road house and not need it than need the house and not have it? That's been our question to the prosecution and the university the entire time. Why is it even up for discussion?
Who made that statement?
The attorney for the Gonzalez family, Shannon Gray.
Because I know also a lot of big commenters that have to do with this are actually speaking against it, which I'm really surprised. You have, like, Brian Enton even is like, nah, why tear it down now, you know?
Yeah, what's the point? Why did you hold out this long to just tear it down now?
It's strange. It's kind of strange. Like, I would feel less strange about it if they just decided to tear it down the first time they were deciding.
Right.
Like, what was the point in waiting?
Right.
Like, what? Because you're still not waiting till the end of the trial, so... Like, what?
Yeah, why didn't you either make the decision to keep it until trial or not?
Yeah.
Like, what changed? Because it seemed like you were going to keep it for the trial, and now all of a sudden you're like, we're actually going to tear it down now.
Were they unsure before that they were going to be able to convict Brian and something's changed?
But the university shouldn't be privy to that information.
Oh, gosh, it's a small town. Come on.
They shouldn't, though.
Yeah.
There's a gag order. They shouldn't know that.
It's a small town.
Yeah. So.
Fry's wife is...
Clerk of court, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signing a lot of those documents.
Absolutely. So they sound upset. They sound really upset by it being torn down. And they ask questions that I have been asking, and that we don't know what the jurors are going to want or need to make a decision on this, that clearly there is some evidentiary value considering that the prosecution and the defense have both revisited the property since keeping it up, making the decision to keep it up. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, that was the whole thing when the FBI went back. Like, weren't you guys going to tear this down? And now you see value in it? And that, like, made the family happy. And now they're like, yeah, but we're going to tear it down now.
Maybe they just needed to final, like, triple, quadruple check. I don't know. I'm not sure. This is one of those topics where I feel like I need some more information to make a sound decision and judgment on it. I do know it feels weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. So... there is a Boise-based defense attorney, David Leroy, that said juries sometimes do want to walk through space, especially a big space. When it's a large house like this and it's kind of confusing, they do want to walk through it. So, in this case, he said, however, both sides have the time and the technology to recreate the structure. They'll have diagrams, three-dimensional recreations, photographs, videos. He said, I would not expect the jury to be lost in the special relations in the home and understanding the crime scene. Which I guess is a good point. Like, if you have Pharaoh scans and you can literally put on, like, VR goggles and walk through the home, okay. If you have a 3D physical model in front of you, okay. But I would like to know, in the virtual reality little goggles, can I walk outside behind the house, behind the tree line, and see exactly how well I can see in the windows? Yeah. Like, can I do all of that? Or can you
almost trip on that one weird step where it's the half of the house, like, you know?
Because, yeah, you're right. You wouldn't necessarily realize, oh, I might trip over that step walking here if you're doing it in virtual reality.
Yep.
Like, there's going to be little nuances that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily pick up on. Which, I mean, the step, I guess, we pick up on that, but that's because we've been like obsessing over the case for like a long time now.
Yeah.
And been thinking about those things. Hopefully the jury will do that. But I wanted to look into how often juries walk through crime scenes. And apparently it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare that they do.
Really?
It's not a very common thing. The most cited cases are O.J. Simpson and Murdaugh. So, and those are like very special examples, you know?
Yeah.
But here there was a part here I wanted to. So I think that it would make sense for a jury to want to walk through this place. But in the same respect, maybe like, because you were like, you felt like you wouldn't need it.
I don't think I would need it personally, but it's super important though that I clarify that, because even though I feel like I personally wouldn't need it, I understand and feel the value of people needing to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I get it.
So normally in a situation like this, in a criminal trial, it has to be requested by either the defense or the prosecution for the jury to view the crime scene, and then it's up to the judge whether to approve it or not. In many cases, it doesn't happen because normally the trial is taking place many years later, where a lot of things have changed. And taking the jurors there could give them a false impression of what happened. If there are certain structural changes, like floor and wall cutouts, I guess, you know, like we don't know exactly what's changed in that home. Is it at all structurally inside like it used to be? Like, can you even get a real feel from it? And that goes back to your question that which you may not have seen this on live stream the other day, where you said, are they even going to use it anyway?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if they are not going to use it no matter what, is it that important?
What's the point
Because
then?
the jury themselves, I don't think, can request to go see it. It has to be requested by the defense or the prosecution.
Yep. Correct, yep.
We're not talking about a grand jury, okay? A grand jury can ask to investigate a case. I don't think regular, like, trial juries can do that. Maybe they can tell somebody, but I don't even think they're not even supposed to talk about the case amongst each other.
Yeah, until the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we have like these 3D presentations too, it's even less needed in a lot of judges' and attorneys' minds. It's even less needed. So what was already once very rare is going to become even more rare because of the technology we have today.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I have no idea. In order for me to make a decision, this is one thing where I feel like I would have to be a juror first and feel the differences myself. I don't think I would need it. I don't. I've often wondered too over the last week is going on site actually harmful because of people's biased beliefs? So, and here's an example. Have you ever driven somewhere where it's supposedly haunted, it's supposedly satanic, there's supposedly something weird and eerie going on there, and you get there and you feel something's up, like feel it, even though nothing's changed? There is no difference in the air temperature, there is no difference in moisture, it's the same everything, but you feel like something's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could that bias, because that's what it is, when you're feeling that is a personal bias, drawing connections between your socially built perceptions of what Satanism is, ghost hunting is, UFO, whatever that area is you went, criminal crimes, whatever, you're drawing a connection in your mind and you're creating that feeling. So is going to the house going to create something like that? I don't know. But that one argument that wouldn't you rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it? Yeah, because understand that it doesn't matter if it's tore down. Also, for someone like me, it wouldn't matter if it was left up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel some type of way with it being left up. I wouldn't feel some type of way with it being tore down.
That's why I think it's honestly kind of messed up that they are taking into account, like, all the community's feelings in this matter.
That's not affected.
It is a house. It is a house. It is just a building sitting there. If you are that affected by a building sitting there, which is not even on campus, mind you,
I know.
That's a bit ridiculous to be like,
it does
we
feel-
need it tore down so we can move on. No, you need justice for the victims. Like, if we're talking about closure here, tearing down a house, I don't think provides closure.
Yeah.
A conviction does. Knowing what happened, having all the facts and truth out there, and justice for the victims and the families and the community that lived in terror because of this crime. That is the real closure.
Agreed.
Not tearing down the house. Like, why are we putting so much emotional significance into something that is not alive, that is made of wood and concrete and drywall and nails? Like, come on. It literally means nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I understand it meaning something to the parents because of it, their daughter and everything. And I understand that. But I think that they would be more willing to let it go if it weren't for the fact that we don't have a conviction yet. They would be fine with it, I think. Mm-hmm. It would be sad, but they'd be like, okay, like, the time has come, closure has come, let go of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're going to be out here fighting after the trial, being like, no, keep the house up because my daughter lived there. Like, they're not going to do that. So, I don't know. I just think it's kind of silly that the main reason for tearing down this home is not, well, it's a biohazard, or it's a there's asbestos leaking out of it now because of this or that, because we tore it up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not about it being a hazard in any kind of way. It's literally about people's feelings.
Yeah. I know.
But that makes me question, is that the real reason?
Yeah, I hear you.
Because I don't think
gonna,
that's the real reason.
I think that's going to spark a lot of people feeling like that, too. So at least for us in Thought Riot Podcast, like, we're going to talk about things that even if maybe we don't find interesting personally, but the community does, we're going to talk about it because Thought Riot Podcast is the community and people that watch and support us. Like, we are a think tank talking about everybody's ideas, and your idea is just as important as my idea in our eyes. So,
I just don't think that's the real motivations behind tearing it down.
Yeah, multiple people have left those comments. So, yes, I don't think that you're alone in wondering that. I've wondered that too. I don't know how likely there's some weird thing going on, but is it possible? Absolutely. I think anything's possible, you guys. Absolutely anything's possible, and we're absolutely going to ask the question. So, could there be some other reason? Maybe. Do they already have plans for that house? Maybe. Do they, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
And if you wanted to, like, there's people that I saw some people talking about, like, well, maybe they don't want it there because they don't want people driving there from all over the country wanting to, like, see it, break into it, cause mischief. Like, they don't want to pay for security anymore. All those other things. And I understand that. But in the same respect, like, You know how many houses there are that are like historical now because of crime? Like Amityville Horror, like the Sharon Tate house was for a long time. It's not anymore. It was demolished and a new house put there, but that was like literally decades after the crime. The John Benet Ramsey house.
Yeah.
There's many houses with new owners that they keep up. Just because, like, what's the point of tearing it down?
Yeah, no, I mean...
It's just a house.
That makes more sense than, like, some of the stuff I was thinking. I was thinking maybe they just needed that. Because that lot has, like, a bunch of trees around it and stuff. I was thinking maybe they needed that lot for, like, the local cult meeting.
You're probably right. Yeah, that's probably it. They wanted, like a little bonfire pit there or something to burn things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of if you tear down the house or not, if people are superstitious, if people are the kind of people who think a killing there creates some kind of energy, the house being there or not doesn't even matter. It's the land.
Yeah, you're right.
And people are still going to travel there, and they're still going to drive on that road, and they're still going to look at that plot of land where the house no longer stands. It doesn't change anything. Still.
Yeah.
Whether you tear the house down or not.
They still have the tunnels underneath.
Yeah, there still are tunnels, like factually, not conspiracy. There are actually tunnels. I just don't know if they go to the house, but they are very close to the house.
Yeah, I say that half joking, but half not joking, where if you look at the layout, the actual city layout of the tunnels, one of them on paper shows it literally going like lining with the house, the side of the house. That's why people have speculated that there could be an entrance into the tunnels from that house because of those official documents. Yeah.
So originally...
But it doesn't go under the house. That's the troll
Let me ask one question. Why build an entrance to tunnels like that, to those steam tunnels, from a house? Originally, like, was it because that person wanted access to the tunnels because they did some kind of maintenance? They worked, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what was the
original?
And if you know of a house that has tunnels, because I know there was plenty of commenters who said they had one attached to their house at some point in their life. Why was it there? Did you dig into the history of that home and why it was there? Because I think that matters. Like, just because there's a tunnel doesn't mean it was built there for some weird, like, cult thing. It could be a totally normal reason. But if you have tunnel access to your house and these tunnels go all over town, in the same respect, that's a bit freaking weird to have that. And it could be dangerous if people use these tunnels like they do in LA.
Illegal things, yeah.
Like they do in LA to do illegal things.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the underground city in LA. I 100% know it exists, and there are some concrete openings down there that are like 2 football fields in length and just have these square beams, and it's like just a giant thing. You could have full-on sports down there, like how big it is. So they're real. These things are real, you know, to support different areas in the city and whatever. But with the underground tunnels there, I get where you're going with that, and I think it would make sense. So wherever these tunnels were, okay, I think a couple reasons why there could be a house that could have a connection, or maybe there was the house there before it got extended and expanded, and the entrance was maybe in the backyard. Was it the house where the person manufacturing that tunnel was living at the time of the tunnels being manufactured? Because during the time when these tunnels were built, I think, if I'm remembering correct, I think it was like the 19 teens or 1920s or something like that. So they didn't have bulldozers. They weren't speeding through these tunnels like they were digging it. The gophers were digging it.
You're right. And that house originally was tiny.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So did they build a tiny little house with access to the tunnels to dig every day?
Yeah, I think that's a very good possibility. And then when they extended on top of this tunnel, and whoever the owner was might have been like, well, that's really cool to have that there. I'm going to make a pop entrance, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or to hide it, or to hide it if they're a landlord because they don't want students going into it or knowing that entrance is there. So they make some kind of secret door to where it could still be accessed, but largely unknown by anybody living there.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a smart business decision. You don't really want your tenants having access to a university steam tunnel, especially if they're students.
I agree.
So, I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't feel like it's that conspiracy theory to think that as a possibility. I'm just curious if we can find any evidence anywhere backing that up at all.
Yeah, but I mean,
to
go down that conspiracy hole, though. Okay, the tunnels aren't conspiracy. The entrances, you can get into them. Like, none of that's conspiracy, but could it be used to not have to worry about police officers to transport dope? That starts going down the conspiracy hole, but that's a really smart idea. So, like, if I was doing those things, would I rather travel through a tunnel with a skateboard and a backpack on than up on the sidewalk with a skateboard and a backpack on all day long?
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think it's that far-fetched either.
I don't either.
So
I don't either at all. Because we know that tunnels are utilized in cities all over America all the time. Like literally every day for criminal activity. It's not that far-fetched. But yeah, I mean, do you think that the university would want to hide something like that? Like, do you think that the demolition of that house could be, like, is there any weight? Like, could there be any possibility that they want to tear down the house to hide a tunnel entrance? And if there was ever evidence of trafficking in those tunnels? Like, what if, for instance, okay, there was this house, okay, and somebody did set up some kind of trafficking thing. And they were like, you know, the roommates knew about it and were like, okay, as long as we don't have nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? And they get paid a fee. Like, I will pay you $5,000 every month to keep your mouth shut and let me use the entrance to the tunnel in your house. But then for some reason, something happens and they start storing it there. They're like, okay, now shut your mouth because I need to use this room or this closet to store it.
Yeah.
And then something happens.
Yeah. I think any of the above are
now,
possible.
Now, that's going tin hat, but it's still has basis in reality because things like that do happen.
Yeah, they do. They do.
But anyway, we're kind of going off on a huge tangent. This is about the demolition of the house. I mean, it's kind of relevant, but kind of not, because it's pretty tin hat. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think there's evidentiary value still within this house, despite it having whole pieces cut out of it? Do you think that it's better to have it and not need it than tear it down and then need it? Like, would you need, as a juror, would you feel like you would need to see the house in person to really know what happened, to, like, get your head around it? I don't know if you've ever used virtual reality. If you have, like, is that enough for you to be in a virtual space and not be able to physically feel things? Like, I don't know. There's just something different about in person. But in the same respect, I think you're right. I think it can cause bias being in person and feeling that connection as a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
being
maybe.
in that place. Yep. I think it could.
I think anything's possible.
But yeah, I want to know your opinion on it. And that's it.
Yeah.